Yeah. Yeah.
We can start now.
It's not now you're here.
Sorry, I'm late.
So, okay, sorry for the delay, everyone, but we are up and running with the live stream. Let's go ahead and call this meeting of the Laguna Restoration and Redevelopment Authority Board of Commissioners to order. It is 4:11 p.m. on Thursday, February 6th, 2025. Okay, so now for our roll call, we have, we need to do oh, that's, yeah, I'm sorry, I used the old. I did already. Yes, this is wrong. Sorry, I used the wrong. Okay, I can already update it. Okay. Okay, so we have, I'll just go ahead and do a roll call. So we have our Tibetan Mayor, Victor Guanata, joining us today. We have our Commissioner Carlos Madrid, Commissioner Christine Wolf, Commissioner Felix Benavente, Commissioner Wes Cassidy, and Commissioner Patty Ada, and then myself, Maria Navarra, the chair. Okay. We also have joining us our Executive Director, Gillette Leon Guerrero, and of course, our staff, Tammy Alma. So we're complete on the roll call. Okay, so we're gonna go into, well, first we have to approve the agenda. So, Mr. Secretary?
Yes, the agenda is presented and I make a motion to approve.
Is it the agenda now?
It's expanded. Right, yeah, but this is, yeah.
Okay.
It's here.
Fine.
1 second.
Okay, Commissioner, time second, all in favor? And just to clarify, it is the same agenda that was published, I think it's just expanded. Okay. All right, so our, and just to acknowledge, we followed all the OPI laws
Yes.
for announcing of meetings. Copies of those things will be in the board packet, just FYI. Okay, so next we have the minutes. Secretary?
Yes, the minutes of the previous meeting have been presented and everybody has had the opportunity to review them. Otherwise, let us know and I'll make a motion to approve them.
I second.
All in favor of approving minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, wonderful. The minutes are passed. So next we have our treasurer's report. First, our outgoing Commissioner Patty Dale was Betty Dale was our treasurer, so we are gonna have to replace her in that capacity, but in her absence, we'll go ahead and have Gillette present the treasurer's report.
Okay, thank you. The treasurer's report, so this is for the period of October 1st through the 31st of January 2025. Expended during this period for salaries is $17,904.28. Benefits $7,060. Contractual services $1,256.47. And equipment was $4,720.74. So our balances at this point for the general fund is $412,284.89. The other revenue that we have are the grants, the Ganya River Study, the DOI grants, and the hybrid automobile. as well as the matrix planning service and consulting services. There have been no expenditures in those areas during this period.
We're going to be discussing
Yes.
some of the grants and later.
Yes.
Are there any specific questions on the overall budget report that anyone has? It's all kind of like, we try to simplify the format, so it's all on one page, everything we've got, so it's easier to understand. And you know, the dates now associated with the funding are there as well, so everyone can see. Are there any questions? If none, can I get a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
I make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So we're good with the treasurer's report. Okay, so next on our agenda is the executive director's report.
Thank you. In your package, you have all of the, like, the supporting information, I'll be talking about. Just something like that. But I'm a writer, so I'm going to, I prepared my presentation. So, you know. Thank you for entrusting me with the leadership of the authority. I'm deeply honored by your confidence and excited to collaborate with each of you to transform Pagania into not just the capital city of Guam, but a true source of pride for all the people. The path ahead is filled with both promises and challenges. While I'm enthusiastic about the potential we can unlock, I'm also keenly aware of the substantial work that lies before us. This journey will require dedication, innovation, and a shared commitment to our vision. I look forward to working alongside you, combining our diverse strengths and perspectives to bring about meaningful change. Together, we have the opportunity to shape Pagania's future, honoring its rich history while paving the way for substantial growth and community vitality. Your support and guidance will be invaluable as we embark on this important mission. So let's roll up our sleeves and get to work on making Pagania a shining example of what's possible when vision meets action. In the short time I've been here, I've been able to speak to many people about HRRA, and I must say that the response has been positive. I had no negative anything from anybody that I've talked to. They're all positive. They said, oh yes, before, but they're really excited now. So I'm excited to speak about the possibilities, and I'm hoping this continues. After familiarizing myself with the organization's history through discussions with former staff, collaborators, and stakeholders, I believe the most important place to start is by building a strong foundation for the organization. I have focused on laying the groundwork for an organization that is efficient, transparent, collaborative, and innovative. I want to invite participation not only from government agencies, but from our people, residents, and former residents of Pagania. Businesses, civic leaders, nonprofit organizations, and especially our young professionals and university graduates. So my goals for HRRA, number one, is organizational autonomy. We are actually a autonomous instrumentality of the government of Guam, but we're not functioning 100% like that. So under organizational autonomy is that and strengthening the organizational foundation to support independent operations. 2 is financial and operational excellence, implement best practices and fiscal management policies, and develop and enforce robust operational procedures. I've been working on some of those things. And I hope I'm going to have a capital soon. Strategic planning, I think that it would be worthwhile to complete a comprehensive 3 or 5 year strategic plan outlining HRRA's operations, projects, and activities. Community engagement, build a collaborative coalition of stakeholders united by a shared vision for Pagania. and to foster partnerships with individuals and organizations to support HRRA's mission. Financial sustainability, this is one thing that we really need desperately. Secure at least one stable source of funding. I was hoping that it would be the tax, but maybe there's another way. We just kind of have to think creatively. Diversify income streams to ensure long-term financial viability. And mission-aligned initiatives, implement programs and projects that align with HRRA's mission and vision, and I've got industry. And number 7 is public outreach. Develop and execute a multi-dimensional marketing and public outreach campaign and increase public awareness and support for HRRA's initiatives. So key accomplishments since I've started in organizational development, I've drafted articles of incorporation, bylaws, and various policies to enhance HRRA's autonomy as a government of Guam instrumentality. Updated critical registrations that have expired, like the EIN, the SAM.gov, to ensure compliance with local and federal requirements. Developed a comprehensive board binder containing essential policies and legal documents for effective government standards. I won't give that to you, it's not quite done yet. Staffing and partnerships. We finalized the job description and initiated recruitment for a PC1 position to support programming needs. Today, Tammy and I attended the UOG job fair, and we received like a really good response for interns that are of no cost to us. I actually have I already have 2 interns to work on the project that I'm going to mention to you later. But there's, I'm trying to get a management intern as well as other interns for the project that we do. So we were there right before the meeting and just came here after that. So it was very promising. People were really interested. Establish an MOU with the University of Guam internship program. Okay, project advancement. We finalized the agreement with the Army Corps of Engineers for the Ga'er River Channelization and Watershed feasibility study. And we were moving towards project implementation, but we have to pay them. And right now, there's a pause on that particular federal grant. As I mentioned at Trump.
And all of those, so we're actually like,
We're going to-
I guess, that one.
That one
Because it's environmental.
environmental. It's in the, tell me what's the name of it?
IRA,
Yeah,
Inflation Reduction.
the Inflation Reduction Act. For some reason, that particular grant has been put on a pause. I don't know, but we're still going to try to go through the process and see what happens. But that is like, that was unexpected, really. We were ready to go. Funding and capacity building. I successfully applied and gained acceptance into HUD's Stressed Cities and Persistent Poverty Technical Assistance. But it will improve financial management and internal processes, increase community development capacity, and introduce HRRA to valuable programs and resource partners nationwide. So I'm a member of, actually both of us have attended that chat. It's a chat group of professionals in that area and government and federal government.
But this is actually, just to be clear, like this is actually a program and we don't know the start date yet, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. I got an email just this morning from Ann Oti, and she said that I should be hearing from the consultants. They're going to send 2 consultants out to work with me to get all of this together.
Physically here?
Physically here, and then I should hear from, if I don't hear from them by tomorrow, then I need to let her, because they're, I think one of their representatives is on that chat. And is familiar with Guam, so that's the.
So this program, this HUD program, it's like the state government has to like endorse you or recommend you. So it was through GIDA and the governor that they identified HRRA as it's basically designed for community development organizations to help them get off the ground. which is perfect for us, because we're just really trying to, get our bearings. So we're hoping that, so we got their support, they accepted us into the program, and it will hopefully start soon, and, hopefully they'll kind of share us some best practices to figure out, where we go from there, and strategic planning, I think they offer support with that too.
With strategic planning, I think so, yeah, I think that's just right down there.
Governance and organizational,
So that we can really get solid.
so, and this obviously is, really.
Yeah, it's great. And all, the other thing is also this is for 18 months. But they told me on the phone, after that's done, you can apply again. So I think they appear to be very vested in helping cities and be successful. So I'm excited. Okay, so then I have challenges to overcome, include financial stability. HRRA's budget request for fiscal year 2026 has been denied. I actually had included, you turn in a budget request with what you think you need, and it goes in, and then BBMR, I think is right, makes, has the whole big picture.
Yeah.
And then, so we just basically got level funding, which we really need,
So we got the same thing that we had last year.
this year, the same thing that we have this year, which is good, but we really, I put in, what I included in that request was contractual funds for financial services and for legal services, because we are allowed to have an attorney. We really need an attorney desperately, and I'm still working on trying to get one some way. And I'm getting closer, it appears, but timely legal service, because
So I think you guys are aware, but just so we're all clear, legal support to figure out whether the master plan is passed or not, because we're getting a big runaround on that between the legislature and all of that. And of course, the governor has their legal counsel, but they have other priorities too. So just to have somebody in our corner to advise us, and also for the articles and bylaws, to really take a look at that and make sure that it's set up correctly. Things like that, we be great if we tried to get someone to look at it pro bono, but no dice.
Yeah.
So now basically the increase that Gillette was requesting, which I thought was reasonable, but apparently
it's not. Yeah, and then the other position I had requested was a planner and staff, and so we're not going to be able to do any of that. So
I just want to ask, land management has an HRRA that comes into the land use commission or land trust, ancestral land. I don't know what kind of arrangement that is, but you might check on that.
yeah, okay, I'll check with them. I'm going to check
If
with.
it's, if it fits us.
Yeah, the other one that I was actually Lieutenant Governor recommended was Gita as attorneys. So I have a meeting with Melanie to see if that can happen. But when you're ideally, I would really like to find one that's outside, not in the government, because they're so swamped.
Yeah.
With,
I think we're
by
always
the
gonna
time
have
they
that
get to
issue.
our issue.
is that there's, they have a million things to do and we're
Yeah.
probably very low on.
Oh, exactly.
To be charged a lot.
Yeah. but if you can get good. Anyway. Okay, the next thing is the HRRA Property Tax Revenue Fund. The Hagania Restoration Redevelopment Authority has faced a significant financial challenge since its inception. Public Law 24-110, Article 5, enacted in 1997, designated a specific revenue source for HRRA. However, despite this legal provision, the fund has never been established in the 26 years since the law's passage. Efforts to implement this fund have been met with persistent obstacles. These roadblocks have hindered HRRA's ability to access the financial resources intended by the original legislation. The lack of this dedicated funding stream has likely impacted HRRA's capacity to fully execute its mission of revitalizing Hagania. A potential solution to this longstanding issue lies in securing independent legal and financial expertise. Such specialized knowledge could prove instrumental in navigating the complexities surrounding the fund's establishment. With professional guidance, HRRA might be able to overcome the existing barriers and finally realize the financial stability envisioned by the 1997 law.
So just to kind of bring everyone up to speed. So you guys know what our founding legislation says, that we are supposed to get the tax on the improvements in Haggadah, not the land, but the improvements. But there was a subsequent law, I don't know when that was, but basically says that all property tax goes to guests.
Over $1 million.
Okay,
Yeah,
oh, only over $1 million?
$1 million, no, yeah, that's the issue though.
Okay, well, I think there's another law that says that all the property tax land and building goes into a fund and is for the Guam education.
That's the 1 million. Yeah, it has to, but that significantly impacts us. So I've been working,
So there's two laws that conflict.
trying to get,
Basically. So now that's hence our need for legal help.
but I have talked to some legislators and they seem to be supportive, but. So we'll see. And then there's the Haggadah master plan. The status of the master plan remains a critical issue for our success. Based on extensive research, there's a strong belief that the master plan automatically became law on the 29th of March 2022 through a lapse provision. However, this crucial point requires definitive clarification. At this juncture, obtaining a formal legal opinion on the master plan status is essential to moving forward confidently. This legal validation would provide the necessary certainty for HRRA and potential stakeholders. The challenge in securing this legal option highlights a significant operational hurdle for HRRA. The lack of timely access to legal services is impending efforts to confirm the master plan's legal status. This delay not only affects the immediate question of the master plan, but also underscores a broader issue of insufficient resources hampering HRRA's ability to execute its mandate effectively. Resolving this legal ambiguity is crucial for HRRA's future operations and its ability to implement the master plan. A clear legal standing would provide a solid foundation for our initiatives and could potentially accelerate development efforts in Haggadah. So in conclusion, financial stability is crucial for HRRA to fulfill its founding mission and objectives, and two key measures could significantly bolster our position and effectiveness, and that's the HRRA Property Tax Revenue Fund and the legislative acceptance of the master plan. So.
Did you want to complete version the 2020 budget submission like
Is
simply?
Yeah, it's
Fine,
good.
but maybe
Oh,
I can go over the.
Yes.
Yes.
Comment on the report?
Pardon?
Any comments on the?
Oh, yes.
I like the organization packet that we put together for our group discussion, because sooner or later, we're gonna get an audit from those people. And their issues. This prepares us for that, even if it's a draft form. I think you'll find that there's a can to put things in the right place, right order. So, maybe I've been involved in some organizations, and usually the first thing you want to find out is our paperwork and all the results. Thank you for that.
The you have in your packet the HRR goals and objectives for 2025 and 2025. This was I can use from the budget presentation, and this was done before, I think. So the policies are approval of the Haggadah master plan, which we're working on. D is review of the zoning code for the city of Livonia. So, these are things that we should be working on this year unless you want to change it. The programs to distress cities and persistent poverty, which is, yay, is going to happen soon. The land resources billing, something that needs to be created to develop this, and the heritage trail. We need to begin project planning and government procurement, and then the Serena Festival. 2020. I don't know why it says 2024, but I just wrote this.
I have a question.
Yes.
Regarding the zoning code, is there something in our law that says that must be approved by a certain time or
I'm not sure if there's something that has to be.
I mean, it's never been
You
sold.
also need a master plan. And then the zoning
Comes out after.
sits on top of it. Otherwise you create the code and then you kind of like.
Yeah.
Put it where you feel like it, and it's also arbitrary.
Yeah.
Master plan, land use plan, map. Not person, it's not map.
Yeah.
What happens now is that the existing zoning of Agania is on the zoning map, at land management. But when zoning cases go before the land commission, land management sends it to HRRA for review. Then they
But that's
take
not,
it to the land commission.
that's not happening.
It has happened
It has happened, but
maybe once, like
Yeah.
I think Agania Shopping Center, when they put up their zone variants for those big electronic billboard signs. Land management referred to HRRA
oh,
and HRRA will let us know. And yeah, that's not sure, you might want to check with that.
Okay.
They even sent a plan to the mayor's office.
so they asked for your input as well. I do think though, I mean, I don't know what you guys feel, but I feel like the stage of development that we're at right now is like, while we can look at the zoning code, it seems like that would be getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. Because then my whole policy and that we don't even have the resources to properly monitor and
Do we
enforce.
actually have the authority to?
Well, we have, in our legislation, it says that we have the authority to well, not anything, but we have the authority to adjust the zoning in the.
So then, what about some sort of architectural compliance with the plan? I mean, obviously, the original master plan has certain types of adherence to
Yeah,
architectural
like
elements,
certain look and feel.
certain look and feel, trying to make it look pretty, or what have you, and I mean, that's such a big part of what we're supposed to do. I would think, zoning is important and all that, absolutely critical, but also trying to make sure that there's some sort of
Those were design guidelines.
cohesion
Design
within that.
guidelines.
Design guidelines. Yes, that's,
But those are part of the master plan, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, so there has to be some sort of review of compliance and adherence to the.
But then I think again, right, to our executive director's point, if we can't solidly say that it's been approved, then are we always going to be questioned like, well, that's not unofficial
We
anything?
default to the existing zone.
But could we do a service in line with Commissioner Cassidy saying, like, could we somehow do some kind of reach out to new development projects to say these are the guidelines, so like they, like for example, that building where Shoelace is, I don't know, but they somehow restore it in a certain
Interesting way.
style, that makes it more visually appealing and live with people around.
Then it shows the hotel.
So maybe among our objectives for 2025, in line with the heritage trail, for example, or the barrier project, we can incorporate like a reach out to developments and explain and distribute and maybe create what are those guidelines that are
I
in the
mean,
master.
we have the guidelines, but I guess the question is, would they be adhere to, or even like, would they even heed what we had to say? If the whole official nature of our master plan hangs in question.
Right, no, we will not be presenting like, no, this is the law that you have to comply, but this is what is in the master plan, and because maybe with their good faith, and actually for the developers, it's in the best interest.
True.
So maybe we just present it as an informational feature,
Yeah.
saying like,
But there's,
So that would be to work with the others.
because there's so many contradictions, between like existing zoning requirements or like parking requirements and setback requirements, things like that, that contradict what's actually in the plan, right? So the plan speaks to, make it look like it was like organically constructed. And obviously, if it was a true urban environment, there wouldn't be setback requirements, so there wouldn't be necessarily parking requirements adjacent to a building that were determined by the potential occupancy.
It depends on the land use.
Right.
If it's a business area like where Carabao is, you've got 0 lot lines and you can build your buildings right up next to each other. But if it's mixed use or any kind of residential, then you're gonna have certain setbacks.
Right,
Yeah.
but the thing is that, the lots in Agana are so small.
Yeah.
And so it's impractical for somebody to actually develop anything because you can't build something and then not have the necessary parking for it. But if it was, if Agana wasn't raised by World War II, all of those would have been naturally adjacent to each other.
Right. Yeah.
And so there wouldn't have been setback requirements because they were all built right adjacent to each other. And parking would have been something that everybody would just have to struggle through.
Mhm.
But as far as like a natural organic development that would occur, that's a huge hindrance, is being able to adhere to current
The parking requirements.
parking requirements.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with people having a hard time with off-street parking, or on-street parking, and being opposed to that.
Right.
But we found that like the International Fitness, right by the building we were just talking about.
KFC.
Yeah, outside KFC.
They actually added new parking spots.
Well, they took your sidewalk is what they did.
They did, but yeah.
Yeah, but the only way we got around, we worked on that 5 years ago, is saying, I think people can hear whoever and say, listen, we want to do this development, we want to clean up this lot, we want to make this a project, we want to bring more people into the village, but we need you to allow us to do the on-street parking. And it worked. And we're a gym, people can walk to the gym.
I think you got a good point though, Carlos, some of these guidelines, the guidelines follow a law. The law says you can create guidelines, right? This about guidelines first. But Christine's recommended suggestion that maybe working with the Land Use Commission, the Land Use Commission can say projects coming from Gatna or within the Gatna boundary line should follow these, we recommend these, so the GLUC can adopt some of these guidelines under their power
And that's
temporarily.
And what has happened in the past, and a good example is that bell tower building in Anigua. The owners, the names, wanted to do an 8 or 9 story building. And
No. All right, go ahead.
it was up before GLUC for the variance, and we proposed master plan that we were working on, saying, now this area is going to be like this, and it's going to have, 3 or 4 story high, because we want residential behind it. And GLUC actually looked at it and said, yeah, this makes sense, and they denied them allowing them to do the building that high. So just having the intent and then getting the people on the GLUC to understand it made a huge difference. And my owner was pretty pissed off, but
That's a great suggestion and it makes complete sense and I will comply, but maybe we can, I don't know if we will require a motion to reach out to that agency to somehow
Well,
educate.
I don't think so, because we said it in these plans that this is something we wanted to work on. Now I'm glad we had this discussion here, because I was thinking, we really don't have the bandwidth or the resources to enforce, even if we did come up with any changes. But it sounds like what you're proposing, which has worked, is really just partnering with an agency who does have the resources.
Yeah.
And just kind of sharing this vision with them and having them be a partner in.
yeah, and typically what they look at are projects that are looking for variance.
Yeah.
They don't quite fit into the way things are supposed to be.
Yeah.
And certain new developments as well. So We work with those guys all the time. It wouldn't be hard, I think, to reach out, that we'd like to help you with these reviews.
So, so what would we be doing with GLUC would be, sharing the design guidelines, is that what we're talking
Yeah.
about?
Just talk with them and seeing how can we partner to make sure that we're moving towards, you know, this vision.
They,
Oh, the chairman, take out the GLUC chairman.
There you go.
And just say, hey, can we guys work together?
Well, maybe we need to have also the guidelines somehow consolidated in a digestible
Yeah,
document.
just give them that chapter, or else your heads will explode.
Yeah. Very true.
And make sure our guidelines are clear, because they don't wanna take them. That's.
The design guidelines are probably the most interesting part of the.
Yeah,
And they're all appealable, you know, it's like a guideline, and you appeal it. If it's too strict, then you
Yeah.
request like, we'll modify it, like for it was we've got in a fitness center in KFC. It was very strict and sitting down together, we made it work.
do you guys like this?
This is just so with the, when you submit the budget to BZMR, you give them your request, and you have to put along with that what your goals and objectives would be for that same period. Which is what our executive director did. Although some of the things in here were tied to that, the funding that again got cut.
Yeah.
So we're probably gonna have to go back to the drawing board. Yeah. But I think you went over a lot of things in your report. Yeah. That's a question. Basically, that's true. Okay, yeah, and the 2026 budget, practice, well, way now. So do we go back and give them another version, or?
We have to,
Yeah, we have to, deadline is, Monday, yeah. Yes. Okay.
and then what's in here is just the three projects, the Heritage Trail, the transit.
But what we're done.
Yes, it's after the. Oh, no, maybe I had.
It's up here is the budget thing with the fold out. And there's three
These are the three projects that were in the 2025. The Palace, the Heritage Trail, and the the land resource.
Right after that. So I didn't catch you for your information.
There's a possibility that the Heritage Trail might be included in the hot box, but I don't, I have permissions. So it's neither.
It's in our goals and objectives that we would try to get these off the ground and identify funding sources for it. But obviously, we don't have those yet. Yeah. All right, so okay, just moving on, so that kind of sums up the executive director's report. Now, moving on to old business, so board renewals and appointments. So if you can kind of move to the next tab in your binders, there's a spreadsheet there that shows all the board of commissioners and our oh, that's the next. Sorry. Okay, after the contact list, it will show all the commissioners and then their terms. So at the moment, so Carlos and myself recently got 3 confirmed. Felix, you are still, your term will end on March 19th of this year. So you're gonna be renewing, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
And then,
What is the process for that? Why submit a letter?
yeah, yes, I have to notify the governor's office that you're going to, and then they have to fix it. Okay. And then you have to submit a it's like a worksheet or a questionnaire. Yeah, but you probably did that already, right? Did you-
For the first time.
I know, this is why, but I guess you have to do it again. Yes. And get a port clearance and a police clearance. Is there it's. Sorry, so do we, if we complete that before the term is expired, do we still? I don't know, I need to find out about that, because I was thinking, because they've all been delayed, but you know, I have to really depend on the.
Yes, I'm not entirely sure, but I think in my case and in your case, because by the time that our application package was accepted, our terms had expired. My understanding is that's when we had to go through reconfirmation with the legislature, but there might be a way to it.
Yes, I will check into that, because that would be better. I was already thinking that I saw that, yeah, his expires, I think it's on the 19th of March. It doesn't expire until,
Oh, there's a grace
June.
period.
Yes, 90 days and 3 legislative days, but I would say to ask them to reconfirm
Now,
or
or soon.
Yeah.
yeah, before the end of the term.
Yeah,
To me,
yeah.
it seems,
Because there's a difference between renewal and,
right,
renewal
Yeah.
means,
Renewal is easier, but if you have to like
Continuation.
start
Yeah.
from scratch.
yeah, but when it's over,
Yeah.
it's like.
yeah, that's what I'm assuming, but I'm new to this too, so I'm.
That's the impression I
like,
got,
well,
that the process would have been
So we-
easier if we had started it prior to the expiration. So if you start now, you'll,
Yeah.
I think it'll be less helpful.
Yeah,
Follow the people.
Yeah. yes,
And then, of course, so Friday and Christine, your terms both expired last year. So yours are in progress?
yes, they are, no, they've already, the governor has to make a renomination, okay, and so she does that, and then you have to turn in all of you've turned everything in, right? Yeah, so when you turn it in, then they'll schedule the hearing. Oh. You have to go, yes, you have to go before that.
And then, of course, that's just reappointed by the speaker.
Yeah, I still need to get confirmed.
So he.
It's like fair. Yeah, you just have to get elected.
Well, he just has to get elected. That's a whole nother thing. So, of course, we do have some vacancies, and. Well, I was thinking that it'd be great if we got a legal person.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
same thing.
I really,
Yeah.
I'm
If
trying.
you guys have any ideas? Maybe think about it, but I think we could really use that skill set on the boards.
Yeah.
Or any other ideas that you want to discuss. Okay, so that is the status of that. Okay, Haggadah River channelization, you already mentioned it. That's kind of on pause until we can get further instruction from the feds on that grant funding. Would you want to talk about the HRRA?
Yes, we just, I think they're finally, it's been at, procurement or. So I think I think today we got some news, that they're actually going to publish the, what do you call it? RFP, yeah. So that's.
For a hybrid, not a, what?
For a hybrid, yeah, I changed it.
Yeah.
It's easier.
RFP.
Yeah. That,
We have the, isn't there like a threshold for RFP with a dollar amount?
a threshold.
Like, under which you don't have to do an RFP?
I don't know, Tammy, what is the process for the hybrid? Where are we at?
I'm not too sure about the RFP because the car is actually going under invitation for bid.
Oh, invitation on bid, that's what we're doing.
IFP.
Is that like a less complex process? Or-
Yes.
So. But. Okay, the master
The
plan,
master
you
plan, I already talked about that.
kind of alluded to it, but. You know, Gillette has talked to the current speaker, the compiler of laws. And the cliff notes is there's no direct answer. And they actually suggested that we get legal counsel to help us figure this out. So. Very, going back to the beginning.
Yeah, right.
There is a question that as to whether, because it lapsed into the last legislature. Now we're in a new legislature, there were some questions as to whether. That has any impact on whether or not it becomes law, it's beyond me, but I think we need a professional. To help us do it.
Yes, who's our, what committee are we under in the legislature? Who's our chair?
Shelley, no, Shelley, no.
She's right.
Yes. Actually, everyone, even in the list, everybody that I've spoken with is. Has changed their tune. I
You
get to
know,
see.
there's a
everyone.
possibility of going for a reaffirmation.
Yeah,
And to say we're here to reaffirm what was approved to clear up any ambiguity.
We did, I mean, she wrote a letter
Oh, okay.
to the speaker, asking him to basically confirm
The former speaker,
the former speaker, but he also visited with the current
and
speaker.
I also spoke, and he was very supportive. He said that he wasn't, but now he is.
So we had written a letter to then speaker Therese Terlani. She said she was gonna get back to us, but then
She called me today,
oh, she did.
basically saying that their legal counsel said that still believe that it hasn't passed into law, so. I told her I wanna come see her, but I don't think it'll make any difference at this point.
I think if we could get, if the legal counsel of the legislature has given,
But they didn't put it in writing.
exactly, that's the
No.
point, like, can we get it, like, what's, right?
But
What are,
that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to compel them to give us their position in writing.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just like the runaround.
Yeah.
So,
Purpose for today.
yes. So that's what I feel like we should either write directly to the current speaker and dare I say demand that they give us their position in writing, or figure out another way to get some kind of official work. Rather than just,
would it be like sending a follow-up letter, like saying, you know, we're pending to hear about this?
I think it would probably be more firm language to ask them for their official legal opinion on
Or a public release, or a press release,
something.
a press release saying, you know, this is like portrayed to the public of wow. This is the situation, like a reminder on the media, this is when it was supposed to was elapsed into law, this is when they're gonna get. Like, I mean, not a confrontational thing, but somehow
Yeah.
for the people of Guam to know where is the situation now.
Yeah.
But then a non-confrontational way.
But I
We don't want to
think,
burn any bridges.
I think we're gonna generate confrontation if former speaker is already
Saying
kind of
that she doesn't
adamant
believe-
about it, she's gonna pop up again. And, you know, that concern is going to dim the bright picture of the press release. Then it's gonna be
So it's more like we just need in writing, what is the position of the legislature, so we can know what to act about.
or just approach this way, just approach the existing oversight chair. Say, Senator Caldwell, we would like to have your affirmation that this project is approved and simple. Submit a bill.
I think it's worth really getting to the bottom of it before we have to start over with the new legislature. That is like, I mean, that was quite a bit of,
Oh. And I forgot to mention that I know I spoke with the lieutenant governor and he directed his policy director to write a letter. I think the letter is to the Tyler of law. Yeah, and it's been stuck in the legislative, the legal
On
the government.
so we can follow up with that.
So that's the other thing.
It's kind of hard to know without somebody who has like experience with, you know, the passage of laws, what is the best way to get the answer that we need. It's a lot of run around.
Yeah, and if you run into somebody that really does not support us, they're gonna get their smarts legal to outsmart us. So, you know, I mean, they're even going back to the Organic Act, some of these cases that are coming up. You know, a simple interpretation of a simple law, black and white, this is what it says. Then somebody says, well, you're not really supposed to do it that way because the Organic Act says this is the one in charge, so. These things, once it becomes just a legal interpretation, the interpretation window becomes really, really big and it never ends, you know, years. Which is how long,
And at the end of the day, like with anything legal, you can have different interpretations of it, right? They may have theirs, we may have ours, and both of them could be defensible under the law. So it might, yeah. So I think the best outcome is that they just agree that yes, it lapsed, but lapsed into law.
can we give them a timeline?
So what would you like me to do then? I mean, really, what?
You would, send an intervention then. Up to the,
Shannon?
council.
Yeah, I don't think it would hurt to talk to our oversight chair, and see if you could lend her support.
No, yeah, I have talked to her about, I've talked to everybody about this, about the master plan and the tax both, I've spoken to. And but they haven't volunteered any action. Yeah, you know, except, although this current speaker did call me back and tell me, that it's like he deferred to, the lawyer, the former speaker. So, yeah, that's why I feel we really need an attorney that's.
Attorney in our corner to tell us how to fight for this.
trying my
Either that
best.
or maybe we could, again, we could just, try to meet with the governor and see if she could kind of lend her legal team to help us, but of course, I need to have her own.
This, I mean, the letter that was supposed to be done is like a month, yeah.
That's where we're at. Okay, so the real property tax, we kind of covered that. Another thing where we need some legal. Under the new business, so I mentioned briefly election of the treasurer, we're going to go ahead and table that until I can talk to, some of the board members and see if we have anyone who would be willing and able to fill that role. So we'll table that. Committees, I wanted to talk about establishment of.
Yes, I think that, I don't know, and forgive me if they've already been done, but the information that I've been able to get in the office is, but I think that just need to officially establish standing committees.
Mm-hmm.
And you have in your packets all of the kind of the information about what they are. They're very, I mean, this is like a normal thing. You have the executive committee, the executive usually, in my experience, has worked and meets monthly. And where if the full board does not need to meet monthly, they can meet quarterly, but it depends on you need to decide. And then a policy legal committee to review policies and handle legal issues. And then the finance audit committee, which is really important, I think,
we're going to be working towards a more transparent and utilizing best practices.
And then a programs projects committee that would oversee all of the projects. and plans.
I think we have more committees than.
I know, but the committees,
But these, yes, but
Can
these
have
are
other people on.
kind of like your standard,
But it also kind of outlines people who should be looking for.
right,
Right.
to help with
To help us.
with the
Exactly.
expertise on these committees.
yeah, they, other than the executive committee, I mean, you could have others serving on these committees.
Definitely, I feel like a legal person would be great on our board, and maybe even someone who is like a marketing PR type of person, could you?
That's a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, that would be looking at committees here.
Are we required to have these committees?
I don't know if you're required, but it's kind of a best practice.
We're not required by law. to
Oh,
have
okay,
these
I just
committees.
thought that might have been the vehicle legislation or something that we have.
No, it's not in legislation. You can have committees and stuff.
So we don't have to, I mean, we don't have to form these committees right now, that was the intent, you just wanted to share that
Yes,
feel we should work towards this.
yes.
I would be okay to be in an executive committee on the policy legal committee. I mean, sorry, executive committee.
You're already,
You're on.
Program.
You're finalizing the list.
Formalizing it already. I mean, for the executive.
Which one?
Yeah, the executive committee, secretary, program projects committee, outreach committee, and ad hoc committee. Anything is having to do with
So
finance.
maybe how about we do this, so at this point, why don't you guys read through the committee descriptions? And then maybe you can just let Gillette know if any of these kind of align with your interests. At this point, we're not gonna like start any like standing committee meetings. Unless they're needed on an ad hoc basis. The executive committee, I think is pretty obvious, it's our executive officer, the treasurer, we won't get it. But for now, maybe just do that. And we'll work towards forming these committees. And then strategic planning would be, I would say that includes everybody, but it would be enough.
But yeah, and it can include them
Outside of the.
yes, outside of the organization. Good.
Okay, next on our agenda, we have policy approvals. So you guys can see those in the back, we'll kind of go through them. So just a couple of policies here. The first one is relating to the basically human resources. So basically, if you kind of read through here, I just showed it, our founding legislation is quoted here verbatim, that the board has the authority to employ executive directors who shall serve at the pleasure of the board, and we also can hire any technical experts or other officers, agents, employees, etc. And then that we also have the ability to retain our own legal counsel. And we have the authority to delegate one or more of our officers, agents, and employees such powers and duties as we deem proper. So it says here that we will appoint an executive director to essentially carry out the provisions of the law, manage the HRRA from day to day, be an ex officio member of the executive committee, would be an unclassified employee and would receive an annual salary with the range of compensation to be prescribed by the board in accordance with the laws of Guam. Pretty standard stuff here. And then the next part B there, staffing for the HRRA with the consent of the Board of Commissioners, the executive director is authorized to hire and dismiss staff to support the operations of the HRRA. The executive director shall be supervised by the board. And the executive director is responsible for developing, initiating, and implementing workplace policies. the idea is that, you know, when you're really in charge of hiring and firing and performance evaluating the ED, and the ED, we delegate to the ED the authority to do so for all the staff.
You know, Madam Chair, if I may make a comment, you know, under the authority. For such legal services. I'm not too sure about having a legal person on the board. An attorney on the board, people authorized to hire an attorney. We'd have conflict of,
No, I agree, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know, we could still have that. I don't think that the board member would necessarily provide us with like the official legal services, but just to have that skill set, I think is. I don't know, that's.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying, that we should have a transactional relationship with that attorney, is that what you just.
some, you know, like our pay counsel may be looking over his shoulder when he says something. Because he's looking at some guy over there that's just as smart as he is, so you may be holding back some. And it's just a human interaction thing,
Well, we definitely need a lawyer.
that was something.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay too. I think at this point, we're having. Yeah, well, we don't, it's a moot point,
Or
right?
our board member lawyer may say, can I get paid for this?
Yeah,
No, they can't.
Under the authority,
That would be
They
the
can't.
conflict.
No,
Yeah.
they can't.
no, but under the authority of this law.
but they couldn't be a board member and
They couldn't be a board
our
member,
paid lawyer.
Yeah. Because board members can't.
Yeah, we'll see, that's a, I guess that's a thing. That conflict.
So we need to make like a motion to approve this.
For the policy, yes, and so it's pretty standard, but it's I mean, like I mentioned, it tells us that we're responsible for the ED and our performance, and the ED is only responsible for the staff. It does get into specifics about the hiring of the ED. Basically what how that will go. Of course, when we appointed Gillette, this was not in play, but the reason is it's important to have this policy, I'll let you because you mentioned this policy, in addition to the next one, is something that not only is a best practice, but it's something that would be required for our autonomy. Yeah, so basically, if we're trying to be an autonomous agency, we would need to, number one, get a sustainable funding source, which would be the tax thing. If we were able to make that a reality, then we could have our own, we could basically be our own independent entity, get our own have our own books, our own legal counsel, and just operate independently. But in order to do that, we need to have policies in place.
Absolutely.
Can I make a motion to, based on the decision of the chairwoman, I make a motion to approve the policy on approvals on hiring of management and staff.
Sorry, well, before that, does anyone have any questions? I don't want to rush through.
I can second your motion, but can we have a interim approval of 30 days so that at the next meeting we can finalize the motion? So,
Oh, so you want more time to review?
yeah,
Okay,
but the motion can be in place.
okay.
We just have
So
a
just,
condition that
okay.
if no objections appear within 30 days, it's
Relapses
relaxed.
into.
So what else?
We have time for us
Yeah.
to approve it as is. And then, objection, I mean, any concerns or issues, you have 30 days, otherwise it becomes permanent.
That's fair.
That makes sense.
Okay, so I got a motion and a second. You got the motion?
I'm gonna
Yeah.
get that.
Well, it's recorded as well.
Policy,
Okay, all in
Yeah,
favor?
you're the words.
I'll word it properly.
Okay, all in favor, and any opposed? Okay, motion carries. That one was for the policy on hire and management of staff. Okay. The next one here is a procurement policy. So, this one. Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, we are still subject to the procurement laws of Guam. So this one just outlines that we're committed to, procuring services from the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. It defines, what we would procure for. It defines the purchasing agent. It defines the procurement officer. It also talks about petty cash, which I was joking with that this sounds so 1980s to me. But apparently it's something that is in use and it's working for the department, just for their need to buy, just things offhand. So that's in there. There is a process for, tapping into the petty cash that needs to be followed. It's outlined here. It also talks about the different, levels of purchases. There's blanket purchase agreements, small purchases under 25,000, competitive sealed bill bidding over 25,000. And as it makes a distinction between that and competitive sealed bidding for professional services. Apparently that's a little bit different. So that's it.
Yeah, and the last thing I put here was procurement for purchases using government law general funds or federal money needs to follow sorry. Yeah. Right, basically you're referencing procurement, yeah.
It's all standard.
It's all standard, so, and so this is for any grants that we have, right, that are outside of the general fund. We need to make sure we have a policy in place. It's just like good governance.
Yeah, and it's also, we need to have that before it's really going to act, as an autonomous agency.
Also, maybe like other grantors might work. That we have something in place for responsible use of money.
Anybody want to?
Same,
I was gonna make a motion to approve that.
the same,
That's anybody.
with the 30 days.
Yeah.
Or,
No, 30 days.
Yeah, and can we add that we update this every year? So that.
To be reviewed
Like
annually.
continues, and just, we'll function something that was approved 30 years ago. Every year, this gets talked about here.
Why don't we just say that we will review all policies on an annual basis at one time? That's separately, so I don't get too believed. So another thing I had a discussion with Colette, so she's also working on SOPs. But wanted to bring that to you, also see how you feel. In my opinion, I feel we should just approve the policies and let management handle the procedure. Usually how it goes.
Yeah, okay. You get a PA on the purchasing agent. I would like to have maybe consider section on private public partnerships and how that would be worked.
Okay,
I don't think anybody has that.
okay.
They always have to go to the legislature to get it approved.
It's like a buzzword, here how good.
Yeah, and I attended one a long time ago,
Is there an example of that in the community?
Oh, yeah, well, the DOE,
Oh, like the Okudu, that one?
yeah, the lease back. and that.
Like those,
The
okay.
GPA with the power plant.
Yeah.
That same model could potentially be applied for the future. So, but we had something in place already. Maybe somebody can approach us and say, hey, I've seen
You mean
your,
a policy or?
A policy or SOP?
just policy,
Okay.
so that we can create, but you know, we have tabs for it, you know, we have a placeholder. That, yeah, we do have that as an option, that it doesn't have, the services don't have to be just for purchase. Or products don't have to be just purchased. Maybe we can do a public-private arrangement where our rules are right here. And if it works and somebody wants to make us, wants to approach us following this idea, it's all, you know,
What do we?
I don't know yet. You know, we're, so,
I can do some research on this.
And
well, you know. Well, like, if you still want,
tax credit.
yeah,
So is the motion on the table to approve the procurement policy, with the idea that after 30 days, if there's no.
Objection.
Yeah, and then including the notion of, reviewing every policy once a year, single time.
Okay, that's a motion. We need a second.
yes.
Okay, second, Commissioner Benavides, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Okay, so barrio project. Okay, barrio, babies. Okay. We'll try to get us out of here and then no more than 10 minutes.
Okay, all right, yes, yes. Yeah, this won't be very long. So you have in your packets the information of this, okay, so this is what I think that HRRA is dedicated to creating a sense of place for Guam's capital, Pagania. And placemaking is an approach, oh, she's gone, she said, it's an approach to urban planning and design that focuses on people who use specific space rather than just the physical structures and buildings. The idea is to create places that are not just functional, but also beautiful and meaningful to people who live, work, and play there. The pillars of placemaking are people, place, engagement, and opportunity. And our newest initiative, if you agree, is the Hagåtña Barrio Project, which endeavors to bring people back to Hagåtña, if not physically, emotionally, and to join us in our efforts to revisit and re-envision Hagåtña's barrios. The first phase of this project is to create an online registry of the families of current residents and descendants of pre-World War II residents. We invite them to share their recollections, family stories, photos, and oral histories with us so that we can envision the Hagåtña of the past through today's lens. The first phase will also involve research and collection and consolidation of existing stories, memories, and photos, maps, and other documents that exist in archives and collections. And those two interns that I told you about, that's what they're doing, you know, which they're going to be doing, is collecting all of this information so that we can present it to the community through an online digital database and website that will house and display the information by barrio, giving us a glimpse of the history of Hagåtña. So I really see this as a way to get our people involved in Hagåtña and to sort of come back and understand what the significance of it, but also hopefully to start to reinvest in Hagåtña and actually design, have a say in how they want their area to be. I don't know, I just
Yes,
feel a very.
I like the idea, it's an excellent idea. I've participated in some of the Welcome Back to Sumai events that's been going on the last 20 or 30 years. And I often wonder why there was none for Hagåtña. When World War II happened, it was just evacuated and many people never came back. But there were some that, you can always go to Hagåtña, right? But it's not the Hagåtña that picked that. I think it's a good idea. Both my parents were from Hagåtña.
Yeah.
And, they would tell stories about what it's like. I don't know if you I was telling Juliet, I was at a book launch for the Ricky Bordalia book.
Oh, I missed it.
I was there, I didn't see
I
it.
see it, but I finished the book.
Oh,
And
I
the
haven't
first
yet.
part of that book, there's a book two coming out, right? The first part of the book, did you read it, Carlos?
Yes, the part of Agani.
The part of Agatha, I mean, Agatha were before the war, you know, and he was 14, 13, you know, from the time he was like 6 years old, he was driving a car. All over Agatha to PhD.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they had a business, so he describes Agatha as this bustling city of families and barrios and clubs and a lot of things going on, so.
To the story of Julio Guerrero, like his autobiography, he has the same memories. It reminds of the
Yeah.
same vibe, the same experiences that you're mentioning.
Nobody knows that, except if you read it in books.
Right. And so I'm thinking that if this, it's on a website, it will be on a website, so even the diaspora, the people that have left, would be interested in it also, and maybe in contributing, because people have stories, oral histories, you know, I mean, it's just.
You know, actually,
It's almost like a precursor to rebuilding the city to what it was. Because I think, like you mentioned, a lot of people have a very deep emotional connection to what it was like to grow up in pre-war development. So we can kind of tap into that while these people are still alive, they still are sharing stories to tell. And then hopefully generate excitement to encourage actual development.
And I did present this, and today I was at the UOG job fair, and I got a lot of young students, and some that were just going to graduate next year that are really interested in the barrio.
I share, if I may say, the same sentiment of government, that like it's a great idea and it's something that aligns to our vision. It seems like a larger project of which of the multiple results could be a festival or a number of. And I think it's the perfect time that this replaced the previous initiative of the Serena Festival, which was well met and I'm sure it's positive outcomes, but this seems to be way more aligned to our mission and it serves the same purpose. I'm as a MARC faculty, in fact, myself have been working on about Haggaña, and you guys know with the application and the research. So my suggestion would be like, because this is exactly what it is with our mission, like partnering with MARC, for example, which is an ex-officio member, and it can also be outsourced to compile. Some of it may already be compiled.
Yes, it is.
And HRRA will be the right institution to somehow serve as a disseminator of that information to make that reach out to the community. It can be, maybe the Sirena Festival can also be transformed into a Haggaña festival in which you bring back people from kind of like the Suma, things like once a year people come back to Haggaña and then.
What
It's a great
resources? What resources do you need for this project and what kind of timeline?
Okay, I was looking, you know, I did that pretty quickly, but the timeline might, depending on how things in the government work. But I'm hoping that we're going to get private, it depends on when we get the funds, so I think we
There
can
goes
probably.
that public-private partnership.
Yes.
In our toolbox.
Yeah, but I would say, I mean, maybe I'm being optimistic, but I think within a year, we actually have this established. I talked with Matrix about the possibility to avoid having to go through the procurement process, which can take. What about the GITA years? The GITA grant, yes, I applied for a grant with GITA. That QC. The QC, yeah, yes, for 25,000 for the barrio project, and then I went to GBB, but Jerry says, no, they're taking, I don't have any money, they're taking my money.
Okay.
But I did go to them, but I know that they're gonna be hiring a new.
I think maybe
soon.
when they get their new
GM, I will
we
go
can engage with them.
yes, I will engage
Isn't
with them.
this something that would be right up their alley?
I think
It
so.
would be, yeah, I told, I
I
went
think
there
so,
and
I
I
think once
presented
they
it to them.
stabilize their leadership, then we can go in and figure out.
But there are partners that we can.
So fingers crossed that we get something from them.
Yeah, so.
But I feel like this is a project that is very not, I think that most people will definitely support it. It's, you know, not one of those that is complex or controversial.
It's, yeah.
On the contrary.
And I think it's like I said, something that is people connect with on an emotional level. So. A win, I feel like this could be a win. So I guess, should we have a motion? Do we support the Varia project?
Yeah.
Any second?
I said.
In favor? Any opposed? Okay, green lights work on the Varia project. What is this public comment? Oh, that's.
If somebody was here,
Don't
they
came,
they would.
You have a comment, sir? Right, nice thing about us.
Show the pictures from a nice angle.
I'm sorry?
There's somebody online.
Oh, there's somebody on
There's
the,
somebody
oh,
online.
okay. Do we have to ask them if there's any?
That I'm not sure. I was just told how to handle it if they do in fact decide to.
Okay,
Has anyone
Can,
else?
is there a way to I just ask them, do the people listening online have any questions or anything they wanna raise? Yeah. Okay. If Tammy, let me know if there's anything, but if not, yeah, let's go ahead. Our next meeting date is, oh, sorry.
Oh, it's you should receive public comment, it's not open.
Oh, okay.
And when there's none, it's public comment. It's not-
Oh, thank you. Okay. The first time. Okay, Tammy, was there any hand raise or anything? Okay, all right, so the public comment period is now closed. So we will look forward to our next meeting date. Our executive director will let us know. Is it gonna be here or? We're recognizing the office, bringing it up and running.
Yeah, yes, I need to.
So we'll TBD, it may be here, it may be there. If nothing else, may I please have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Any second? Second, okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you very much, meeting adjourned.
Sure.
Mayor?
So I'm mayor.
Right. They're gonna talk about the ordinance in the mayor.
I'll get somebody involved.
Does like to manifest.
Go through there.
Make it fine.
I'm gonna go look at it, how much. And I really actually, that was.
When you get some.
I thought you were just- It's about every 6 months, I've been since we.
Yeah.
You know, and
And,
put something.
I'm not-